I'm battling off a cold, which isn't very fun, but we will soldier through. Hey everyone, so today I'm going to be doing the Books to Read in Pairs tag, which was created by Jen Campbell. I was tagged by the lovely Amy Jane Smith, and I will link both of their channels down below. I love this tag so much. I think it's such a good idea that I'm going to do it twice, and this is part one. Some of my picks are quite obvious, but I think there are a few more interesting, slightly obscure ones that you might be interested in. We'll get one of the obvious, although very, very good pairings out of the way, and that is The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood, which I would read alongside or in pairs with Only Ever Yours by Louise O'Neill. These are both feminist dystopian novels. This was published in 1986 and this was published in 2014, but they have very scarily similar themes. They both involve women put in very rigid roles, which essentially just serve the patriarchy. How I describe this book is always The Handmaid's Tale meets Mean Girls, and I think that's a really strong description of it. I love both of these books so much, and I read them really close to each other. I think I might have read this maybe only like a week after I read this one. I know some people haven't liked reading these so close together, and the people I've heard that haven't have read this first. So maybe I think it's better to read this one first and seeing the influence that this has had on this. So yeah, The Handmaid's Tale and Only Ever Yours. The next pairing I want to talk about is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen and Helen Fielding's Bridget Jones' Diary. Pride and Prejudice is referenced a lot in Bridget Jones, and you know, there is even a Mr. Darcy in it. They both feature women trying to find their way in life and their slightly batty parents. Obviously, they're very different in sort of tone and style, but I think that was one of the reasons it's good to read them together, because there is a clear difference between them while some of the ideas and themes might overlap. The next pairing I want to talk about are Trumpet by Jackie Kay and Jazz by Toni Morrison, and look how beautiful both these editions of these books are. They're amazing. I actually haven't read Jazz yet, but I really, really want to, because I know that the way these stories are told are quite similar. I think this is about a man who's having an affair and he kills the young woman he's having an affair with, and then his wife attacks the corpse with a knife. And it's sort of a commentary on black urban life. The main plot of this is very different. This is about a man named Joss Moody who passes away at the start of the novel, and it is about reconstructing his identity through other people's interpretations and preconceptions and misconceptions about his life. Joss is a very famous jazz musician, and it is discovered that he had female genitalia and anatomy. Joss is also a person of colour, and this is set in Scotland. The reason I want to pair these together, you may be able to tell from the titles. I know from this book that it is kind of told with jazz techniques. Like, the chapters and the voices in this kind of call out to each other. There's a call and response thing kind of going on. And also the idea of being able to take one piece of music or take one life and play it in lots of different ways and interpret it and perform it in lots of different ways. And I think this is quite similar in that it takes things from the jazz world and incorporates it into the narration and the storytelling. So yeah, this is pairing number 3. Another more obvious pairing for books to read together is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte and Jean Rhys's Wide Sargasso Sea. I'm sure you're all very familiar with Jane Eyre and the woman in the attic in Jane Eyre, and what Wide Sargasso Sea does is that it gives voice to the woman in the attic. This tells Bertha's story. It is a prequel to Jane Eyre. It's set in Jamaica in the 1830s, and it makes the feminism that is in Jane Eyre more intersectional. I think they're really, really interesting to read together, and I would highly recommend it. There is so much depth to Jane Eyre, but this creates even more, and it's just utterly wonderful. It's fantastic. Next pairing I want to talk about is J.K. Rowling's The Casual Vacancy and George Eliot's Middlemarch, because I really need more reasons to shout about how much I love this book. I don't know if this seems like a bit of an odd pairing to some people, but it really makes sense to me. Both of these books tell several stories about several different people in the one place. They discuss ordinary people going about their lives and how those different people influence each other's lives. I'm not sure what order it would be best to read these in. I read them very far apart, maybe like 3-4 years apart. When did this come out? So this was published in 2012 and I read it in 2012. This was published between 1871 and 1872, and I read it in 2016. So I'm not sure what order it would be best to read these in if you are reading them back to back. You may want some easier reading after tackling this, like the way this is told is much more accessible, I think. You want to sort of ease yourself into it by reading this first. I don't know, I just think you should read them both because they're both very, very good. And the final pairing I want to talk about in this video, don't worry, there will be 6 more the next time I do this tag, is quite an obvious pairing, and they are 2 more J.K. Rowling books. I think, alongside the Deathly Hallows, you should read The Tales of Beedle and Bard. Of course, I'm sure you are all aware that there is reference to this in the final Harry Potter book. The Tale of the Three Brothers is in this. Most famously, we have the Tale of the Three Brothers, but this is also full of lots of other different Wizarding World fairy tales, and I think it's a great way to get a more in-depth look at what's going on in this. I think it's just a really cute pairing, and I think maybe on your next reread, or maybe if you're reading this for the first time, it would be great to pick this up alongside it. So that was part 1 of the books to read in pairs tag. As I said, I will be doing a part 2, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Who should I tag in this? Who hasn't done this already? I really should check this before I tag someone. I'm pretty sure Mel hasn't done this, so I'm going to tag Mel from Books with Wings, and I will leave a link to her channel down below as well. That's it for me for now, but if you want to have a chat about any of the pairings or books that I recommended in this video, do leave a comment down below and we can have a little chat about it. I hope you guys are having a lovely day, and I will see you soon.